We are the original Saturday Menudo Club, except no substitutes. Ya no más.
The views and opinions expressed in the Saturday Menudo gatherings, livecasts, or videos do not necessarily reflect the views of the club, its sponsors, the hosts, or its supporters. All content is for information and entertainment purposes. We do support free speech.
Thank you for coming. We will be starting here, so if you can please go ahead and take a seat. I do apologize, I don't mean to be screaming. We have our mic and speaker off to the side, but I think Justin doesn't need a mic. I'm only going to be speaking for a bit. Again, thank you for coming. My name is Carmen Cavazos. I am the CEO of the Saturday Menudo Club. The gentleman behind the camera here, his name is Andy Valadez. This club was actually started back in 2021. This was a small concept that grew out of Andy's creativity. And he sat back one day and thought, what better way to bring people together than over great food? So our culture, the Hispanic culture, we love and pride ourselves in our food. And menudo happens to be one of our traditional dishes. So we do welcome you. Thank you for coming. Again, my name is Carmen Cavazos, Andy Valadez. We also have now Justin, who is going to be leading our Fort Bend Club here for y'all. Saturday Menudo Club started in Harris County. We're expanded to 3 locations in Harris County, and of course, Fort Bend County is now on our list as well. Our website is SaturdayMenudoClub.com. On there, we do have an active calendar. If you are a candidate, or you are a community activist, or just someone who feels that they would like to post or upload some information, get with Andy and I. That calendar is open to everyone. So if you have an event or you have an announcement, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to post that on our website. Again, it's SaturdayMenudoClub.com. We also have a Facebook page. We upload all kinds of events, all kinds of activities, and not just in Fort Bend or Harris County. We do more of a state and national. We sister partner clubs with Latinos for America First. We also have Mr. Matt Velasquez, who is from Patriot 920. He has some really good events coming up as well, so please get with him on that. Again, our sister clubs include clubs like Veterans for America First, Latinos for America First, and of course Saturday Menudo Club. Did I forget anybody, Justin?
Got the big ones.
Got the big ones.
And Thursday's a new Saturday.
The third. So again, welcome. Our club is Christian based. So what we like to do, y'all, is we like to say our pledges. We also like to open in prayer. So if I have anybody who wants to volunteer just to come up and say some blessings over the food that we've eaten, and also just blessings in general. Do I have a volunteer? Mr. Adam?
All right, Adam.
All right, everybody bow your heads. Our Father, Lord Jesus, we thank you for being alive and strong in heaven, reigning above us. We thank you for the opportunity of salvation through your name and your name alone. Lord, we thank you for being able to gather together as friends, all for the same cause, and looking to push your belief or your word through our government and throughout our leadership. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for being born in the greatest country in the world, the United States. Lord, we thank you for this food, Jesus. We ask that it be blessing and nourishing to our bodies, Lord. We ask that you bless this gathering and that your Spirit fills this room and fills our hearts, Lord. And we thank you again for the opportunity of redemption. In your name, Jesus, amen.
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 If you're an active veteran or a retired veteran, please feel free to render a salute if you choose. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
that don't know, our clubs do include a lot of veterans. We like to give them a very huge thank you for putting their lives on the line at times, from sacrificing their times away from their family. So I myself am a Marine vet, so is Andy.
Hoorah!
Hoorah! We have Justin, who was in the Army, correct? Adam, did you serve? Army. So thank you again for all of
Any
those
other veterans?
that did. To what?
Any other veterans?
Any other vets?
Raise your hand. Oh, here, Chris. What branch were you, bro? Army,
Thank
over
you.
here, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Chris is Army.
Woo! I say hoorah? They have a different hoorah.
Yeah, hoorah.
So our clubs are here for one purpose. And that purpose is not to serve myself, it's not to serve Andy, it's not even to glorify the name of our club. Our club is here because of y'all. And we make it a point to let our people know that we have an open platform. If you have a message, if you want to come out, if you want to make a difference, if you want to talk to your voters, to your constituents, face to face, we tell you, we invite you, we encourage you to come out. Because this isn't about us, this is about y'all. So the stronger we are together, the more unity we'll have. So that's one of the main reasons why I like to always announce, everyone is welcome here. Your message is welcome. Do know, we are a Christian-based club, but we are tolerant to hear your complaints. We are tolerant to hear your critiques. That's one of the reasons why we have this here. And it's not to hit you over the head with, I promise. I promise. This is actually what we call kuchay, spoon, right? This pot here, my mom used to make menudo in that pot, so I took it from the kitchen. But what I'm getting at, or where I'm getting at, is that we have something called Stir the Pot here at the Saturday Menudo Club. And if you have the courage to come up here and hold this spoon, because you gotta hold it up, and tell us either what your concern is, what your ideas are, feedback, anything, positive, negative, we want to hear it. We want to be able to help those that say, hey, how can I fix that street light that's broken down for my neighborhood? Or who do I call? There's a big pothole that I keep on busting my tires off. So those are the concerns that we want to hear on a local, on a state, and on a national level. I know sometimes it's hard for us to get through to like the everyday voter, for those of us that, I ran campaigns, I worked in the office, but I want the voter, the everyday constituent, to know that they have an avenue, they have resources. And that's why I think it's important that we bring in the people that we bring in to speak. We have a great lineup today, is that right, Justin? So if you want to do the honors and introduce, just quick lineup, and then we'll start with our speakers.
Sure. So well, thank you for coming out, everybody. My name's Justin Schiro, and we have 4 guest speakers, and then after that, anyone that wants to come up, you're more than welcome to contribute to the conversation. So we did have 5 scheduled. Tamara McFarland is our County Clerk nominee. She's testifying out of town right now, so she wanted to say hey everybody. But first up is our chairman, our new chairman for the Fort Wayne County GOP. And if you don't believe in miracles, let me tell you a quick story. All right, if you know anything about the Republican Party, trying to get a room full of Republicans to agree on anything is nearly impossible. And this man won a unanimous decision to be the next and new Fort Wayne County Republican Party chairman, Mr. Greg Barnes.
Impressive.
Well, I'm a bit of a wallflower, so I hope y'all can hear me.
Hoorah! Can't hear you.
So let me clarify one thing for Justin. I was the only one stupid enough to offer to do the job. So it was a landslide. So when Justin asked me to come tonight, I thought, you know, what's something that we really need to talk about right now? And what I want you to think about and focus on here in Fort Bend County. I keep hearing people saying we can't win these races in Fort Bend County. Well, I'm here to tell you we can, and we will. And I use a little term in every meeting that I go to now, and I want you to remember this, I want you to take it home with you, and I want you to feel free to use it yourself. Buckle up, Buttercup, it's time to go to work.
All right.
All right? Get you a little rest right now, but when we get past about June, it's time to go to work for all of us. And we're not talking about going to work to get Adam elected or Justin elected or me elected. It's time to go get our people elected to protect our children and our grandchildren. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
The only reason I agreed to do this is because of my grandchildren. At my age, you know, you can't hurt me a whole lot anymore. But I want my grandbabies to have a future. I want them to be able to live in this great country that I live in today and have enjoyed. So this is what this is all about. So how are we going to do that? Well, here's your warning for the evening. Anybody know where Iowa is? Ever heard of the great state of Iowa? Back in 2025, in a district that Trump won by, I think the margin of victory was about 25 to 30%. The Democrats won that race in a special election. Then you move on down. Fort Worth, Texas. Y'all know where Fort Worth is? State Senate campaign in Fort Worth, Texas. Special election. An absolutely drawn Republican district that Democrats had zero chance of winning. And they won in a landslide. Our most recent primary election right here. Anybody know where Pearland, Texas is? You heard of Brazoria County? About as red can be. Guess who the new mayor of Pearland is? Democrat. Now, here's the consistent thing about every one of those races. Why did those people win? Because we, as conservatives and Republicans, did not go vote. We stayed at home. We had the votes. We chose to sit on the couch. We have the votes now. We can win every race in Fort Bend County if we get out and vote. I brought some pretty wise words from an article that I was reading today, and I thought they would be apropos. This gentleman says, if Republicans grow complacent, assume demographic advantage is destiny, or fail to motivate their supporters, they will lose battles they should win. And if that complacency carries over into the 2026 midterms, the damage will not be symbolic. It will sabotage the second half of Trump's presidency. Very true words. The path forward is clear. Republicans must reawaken the energy that drove millions of working class Americans to the polls to support conservative causes. It's not that the Democrats have gotten stronger, folks. It's that we have decided that we can sit at home. It doesn't work that way. We've got to re-energize the base. We've got to re-energize all these people that said, I want something different. I want something better for my family. And if we don't get those people out to vote, then we're going to lose elections, right? Historically, midterm elections, the voter turnout is lower. That's why you see some of the flipping going on, regardless of which party's in power. We can change that this year, right here. We got outvoted by the Democrats by a wide margin in the primary. Y'all aware of that? I mean, a large margin. Now, let me tell you this. The reason that we got outvoted strongly in Fort Bend County was one person. God bless her, Jasmine Crockett. You'll notice this Talarico, excuse me for being a little profane, Looney Tune, won the statewide election. Jasmine Crockett carried 60, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, 62, 63% of the Democrat vote in Fort Bend County. And did not win the state election. So there was a huge groundswell for her in this county. Those people, we feel like, potentially will stay home. They're not going to come vote for Talarico like they did for her. But that gives us that opening. It's there for the taking. But it's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you to bring these people out to vote. Don't be the person that sits on the couch and says, I'm not going to vote. Don't be the person that says, well, I think my kids know that they should vote. I think my neighbor knows they should vote. Why should I tell them? I challenge each and every one of you to bring someone with you to the polls. Be a good Democrat. Vote a couple of times. Find your dead neighbor, let them vote too. In all seriousness, we've got to get everybody out. We've got to get everybody pumped up. Trump is the president. He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest presidents in the history of this country, maybe the greatest. But he ain't on the ticket, folks. Our future is right here in Fort Bend County. And if we let these people take this county away from us, we will suffer through that for years and years and years. And trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. They will tax us into oblivion. The dollars that are being spent, let's say by the budget that was when KP George was still a Democrat, y'all realize how much debt this county is carrying right now? Adam can speak to it. $2 billion in debt in Fort Bend County. And guess who has to pay the interest on that? The heck, I don't know that we'll ever pay it off. We're just paying interest. If we ran our houses like that, they'd bury us under the jail. You can't go to the bank and buy a car when you can't pay your debt. But we figure out a way to do it in Fort Bend County. It's got to stop. And it's up to us to stop it. We can stop it. We will stop it. I just need you to get out and get to work. Be supportive of these candidates, and let's get it done. Thank you very much for your time.
Just to follow up on that, great point. If you want to work an election, I speak for Harris County. I was their primary deputy director, which I did a lot of the recruitment for the party to work for the election. I do have a number. Election workers are needed. They never have enough election workers. So if you are interested, all you have to do is be a registered voter. You have to declare your party if you're a Republican or Democrat. The number to it is 713-755-1617. And they are paid positions. They are either an AM shift from 7 a.m. to 1, and then 1 to 7. It's a 2-week employment, and I believe it's either 2 to 3 times a year if you're an election worker. I pay $17 or $20 depending on the position. So again, 713-755-1617.
Thank you, Chairman Barnes, for coming out and speaking to us today. I got out of the Army in 2014. I was very quickly involved in the Republican Party in Fort Bend County. Probably too involved. I think some people still think I'm a little too involved. But the first person I got to endorse is here tonight. And that's our county treasurer, Mr. Bill Rickert. Can we sneak you out? Yeah, good seeing you.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes, sir.
I've got a little bronchitis here, so if I sink down in volume, just let me know. So it's a pleasure to be here. I was going to talk about tonight. Yesterday I attended an event called Fort Bend 2050, where they talked about the future and how our population is basically going to double between now and 2050. And all the gotchas and all the things that we need to be concerned about, from roads and bridges and signal timing to water and electricity and how to manage that growth, in a meaningful way. And it kind of took me back to when I first came into office in January of 2019, and walked in and started talking to my staff about, what do we have for business continuity planning? What do we have for this and that? And it's all like, what, why? I said, what did you do during Harvey? And everybody, basically jumped through hoops. We had payroll, they had to run out and meet people to get them their checks so they could maybe cash them at their banks, and lots of things to make money available for the county so you keep doing the recovery efforts and all those types of things. So, taking my background, I worked in oil and gas in the exploration business, and in the seismic business, which I was in, we always had to do, our clients, or oil companies, always pressured us to do higher end technology and cheaper, right? So, the mindset I have is, we're never done. We're always trying to improve. So, taking a look at not just my office, but the county as a whole, when I first logged into the financial system, I felt like I stepped back into the 90s, right? Talking about screens and, all this stuff. And, so started pushing for what do we need to do? Where do we need to go? And that's the key is if you look at it back to this whole story about 2050, we need to be able to employ technology and improve processes and our people with the best talents to help bring the county forward, right, to where we need to be. And there's other big challenges like, right now our tax base is heavily burdened on homeowners, right? 75% is paid by homeowners. That mix is not sustainable. If we keep just building more homes, we're just going to be more of a bedroom community, which means we're all paying higher taxes to the point where we can't afford to rent a home. So we need light industrial, in Fort Bend County and other commercial to have a larger percentage of that tax burden so we can all afford to stay in our homes. And, there has to be a roadmap, and there has to be people involved and engaged on Commissioner's Court and all around involved with the county that have that vision and that mindset where it's not just about today with that mindset, it's about where we need to be in the end state, right? Because right now, there's a lot of forgiving in Fort Bend County, right? Because, as we have, state legislature puts all these limits on, tax growth and 3.5% we can, grow on our existing base. That's what existed last year. We can only collect 3.5% more from that. But there's so much new tax base that's unlimited that brings in all this extra money right now. But as that gets built out and as the county, fills in, that buffer goes away, right? And as that fills out, there's just more and more homes, the higher the homeowner tax burden. So, that's some of the key things we need to look at going forward is how do we, build that roadmap and make sure we're doing all the things we need to do, especially when it comes to water. And right now for the industrial stuff, electricity is our big problem, right? We have, deregulated electricity here, but we still have, the organization that does the distribution in our community, CenterPoint, is regulated. And it's regulated for a good reason. They can't go out speculate and go build all this stuff and then bill us for it because we have, we have no choice, right? So they have to have signed business. Well, it takes time to build out that infrastructure. So when businesses are looking for a place to relocate, they don't always have that time, right? So we got to come up with smart ways to solve all these issues so that we can, grow our community and still prosper and not have twice as many people on 59. And how do we deal with that? Or 69 as we call it now. Anyway, that was what I was talking about. If anybody's got any questions.
Are you ready for re-election, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Re-election.
Where can they find your information?
My website is Rickert, RICKERT.com. And I have some business cards I can hand out for everybody.
Good. One of the things you may be able to explain to the folks here is the concept of COs. What a CO is and how certain members of the court, that are Democrats, love to buy things that are just regular things that ought to be budgeted items, and they're putting them on COs, so they're putting them in debt. And that's one of the things that's driven the debt. And they're used like candy.
Yeah, so certificates of obligation are a type of bond where it doesn't have to go to the voters. And the mindset on that when it was built with the legislature is it's guaranteed by something. The reason bonds have to go to voters for the main reason is if you keep selling and selling and eventually you can't pay them back, and then the county defaults and then the state's got to rescue it, right? Where certificate of obligation has this either specific revenue, they're either tied to revenue or they're tied to the certain amount of tax collection, specific specific to that initiative. So between, you know, those things, they're allowed to pile on more debt without going to the voters, right? And as you know, I said earlier, it's about $2 billion worth of debt we have now in Fort Bend County. I think that's basically doubled since I've been around, which will be 8 years at the end of this year. You know, we can't keep sustaining that way, you know, and the other side of things is, you know, our population, I think, I forget how many, the last 6 years has grown like 17%, and at the same time, our budget has grown over 40%, right? So, you know, those type of numbers just don't make sense and aren't sustainable. So we have to, you know, we have to get a handle on what we're doing there.
So the CO has been targeted towards any one particular expense?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically issued for a specific project, a specific purchase.
Is there one thing that's been spending a lot of money on one thing?
It's a hodgepodge. I mean, it's everything. And, you know, and we do these, you know, public-private partnership things for building things like the epicenter,
Is that what it's called? I thought it was the empty center.
empty center, you know, the sheriff's training facility. You know, I'm not saying we, you know, I don't think we need an epicenter, an empty center, but, you know, maybe we need a training facility, but, you know, not going to the voters is not the way to do it. You know, the IT building, what am I missing? There's something else in there. They're using that mechanism to spend that money, and now they're talking about hotel, parking garage, and those type of things that, you know, in my opinion, if private enterprise doesn't think it's worthy investing in, then it's probably not the right thing to do. You know, and with that said, I will say that, you know, government does have some responsibility. Like if for example, there was a perfect spot where we should have a convention center or something for Fort Bend County in the future. You know, maybe the county should buy that land and preserve that spot, right? So that something, you know, less useful doesn't end up there, and then we sell it to a developer and let them develop it when they're ready. You know, or parks in the same kind of way. Maybe we buy some parkland that, you know, one day will be in the city, and then we sell it to the city just to preserve it, right? But not to be in the business of things that other people should be in the business of. You know? Thank you. All right.
Wow, thank you.
Reached a half point. So, did everybody get a raffle ticket? To the Stir the Pot segment. So, I'm going to get 2 people. If you want to come up here and you want to discuss, or you want to bring up, or just mention anything that's happening either in Fort Bend, Harris County, Texas, anywhere in America, or even international. So, if you have the courage and the strength to come up here and hold this and make your point. Do I got any takers?
Can we just use that to get donations?
That's a good idea. We've never done that before.
Anyone. It can be on anything. It can even be an announcement you want to make, or it could be an event that you want to talk about. Any takers?
I'm going to make an announcement about the Katie, the tank.
Midway?
Yeah.
You know what day that is?
So if you speak, you have to hold this, Justin, and you gotta hold it out.
Hang on, I'll take it.
Okay.
Is that traveling thing?
Yeah.
Wednesday at 6 o'clock?
Wednesday? 20th?
That's the Cinco Ranch one, I think. We're gonna get this right. We're not gonna mix the
20th,
two up.
20th.
Oh, it is the 20th of Midway.
Midway
Okay.
barbecue.
So, is that a Wednesday?
That is a Wednesday, May 20th.
Wednesday, May 20th, there's a get-together at Midway Barbecue in Katy. And the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who's running for U.S. Senate, will be here. So this is his Get Out the Vote rally. So if you want to meet him and just, you know, get a picture, talk to him, ask him a question, this is a great time. He's coming to us, so we don't have to come to him. So that's pretty cool. So Wednesday the 20th at Midway in Katy.
What time?
What's the name of the event?
Is there a name to the event?
You can call it Red, White, and Brew. There's a Red, White, and Brew event that they moved up there with it. So.
Oh, did they combine those?
They did.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. 6:30? Okay. 6:30 Midway. There's only one Midway in Katy, so just Google Midway in Katy. 6 o'clock on Wednesday.
It's kind of good old downtown Cape.
Right. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else?
Will it be posted somewhere? So
There's a flyer floating around.
we'll find it.
But just Midway at 6 o'clock in Katy. That's the Fort Bend location.
Anybody else? Yeah. You want to hold the spoon? There we go.
Don't ever give him a spoon.
Trouble's a brewing. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
My name's Dennis Spellman. I work for Commissioner Myers. I've been with him for about 4 years. And when I first went to work for him, he walks into work at first thing in the morning. He says to all of us, "I got an idea." And so we all sit down at the conference table, and he said, "We need to diversify the tax base, as we just heard. We're paying 75% of the taxes in Fort Bend County. What we need to do is bring in light industrial development, commercial development, so that we can share the tax burden and get that down to at least 60-40, maybe 50-50. So Andy says, we need shovel-ready sites, because a lot of the businesses that are looking for places to locate have been coming to Fort Bend County, and they've been rejecting us. And so Andy asked the question, why are they rejecting us? And this was after some major companies that were going to put in thousands of jobs. And so he was told, because we don't have shovel-ready sites, in order for a company to come in, it could be 3 years before they could be up and running. They can go to another site and be up and running in 18 months to 2 years max. And so he said part of the reason for that is because CenterPoint can't run electricity, or won't run electricity out to a site unless there's an end user. But without an end user, you can't get these sites ready, so you can say, we've got sites ready, come on in, here they are, locate in Fort Bend County. We have an educated workforce, we have a beautiful place to live for their employees. There's no reason why we shouldn't be getting these major companies to come to Fort Bend County. So he came up with the idea that why don't we have MUDs, basically a MUD district for major corporations and basically for industrial development sites where people can just move in. The MUD would pay for the electricity to come out there, the rail lines, everything that you need, so we can have these sites ready to go. So we went to the legislature with it. Usually the legislature, if you pass anything, a lot of times it can take 3 sessions. That's 6 years. So we're going for session number 3 to try to pass it. And we're going to need people like you to call your legislators, Republican or Democrat, and explain to them how important this is. Because some people, especially on our side, on the Republican side, say, well, it's a tax. If you create these sites, it's a tax. But it's a tax on the people that are going to use it. It's going to pay for these sites. And then it's going to help lower our tax burden, because we're going to generate more revenue. So coming in January, we're going to need people to call their legislators and ask them to vote for this and to push for it. Get it out of committee, get it on the floor, get a vote, get it approved. Because if not, if we don't increase the revenues for this county the way we're growing, we won't have the revenue to keep up with our streets and our infrastructure, and we'll turn into Houston. Have you driven in Houston's roads lately? What a mess it is. It's one pothole after another. They don't have the money to fix them, so they just patch them up, and they're a mess. We don't want Fort Bend County to turn into Houston. So we'll be talking a lot about this coming in December, January, February, and I hope when we're talking about it, you'll remember, oh yeah, I heard about that, and I've got to pick up the phone, call my legislator, and ask him to vote for it.
Thank you.
What happens in mud? Do you have to sell bonds?
The MUD may.
That's how you would pay for that infrastructure and put it in advance.
But it
Sell
would,
bonds, issue bonds, build out that infrastructure.
but the county isn't going to issue the
People paying the bonds, it's in that district.
It's the industrial MUD that will issue the bond, so you won't be paying for it. The people who use the property that's created by issuing those bonds will pay for it, just like a bond for a new neighborhood. Only the new neighborhood in this case isn't a new neighborhood, it's an industrial site it's got everything you need to go. So when the companies come in and say, we want to locate in Fort Bend County because you have everything we need, we can say yes, and we can have you up and running in 18 months to 2 years.
Mr. Dennis, is there a centralized website where, I know you mentioned it's coming maybe January, February, but is there a way for people to start to get informed, maybe a website or some point of contact?
One of the ways is you could have my boss, Andy Myers, who this was his idea,
Okay.
to come out and talk to your groups. And
Wonderful.
explain it, okay?
He's more than welcome to come.
Yeah, and I would be happy to make that happen.
Perfect.
But it's really important. We've got to get this done. We've had two sessions where it's gotten rejected. We almost passed it the last time around. We almost got it out of committee onto the House, and the person who was supposed to be there to answer the questions couldn't make it. And another person they put in place that wasn't as familiar. This is from one of the groups that would be involved, and it didn't make it out of committee. But we were that close. We think we can get out of committee this time, and we think we can develop these sites. And each time this happens, the commissioner learns more and more about what it'll take to pass it. This time we're going to have a bracketed bill. We're not going to have it for the whole state. It'll just be for Fort Bend County. And we think that's one of the reasons it'll pass this time. Guys like Betancourt are a little bit afraid of it.
Are you including data centers in what you're talking about?
It could be. So it's you get these sites ready to go, and a data center could potentially come in, but then there's a lot of things about a data center. You need the electricity, you need the water. So we're thinking more about light industrial. We're thinking more about manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, good paying jobs.
But it doesn't specifically include the possibility of data centers being included.
It doesn't, but that's really not what it's intended for.
There's a lot of things that aren't what they were intended for.
Right.
So there needs to be, if we're going to do something like that, there needs to be something in writing excluding data centers. Because then you're using our water, our electricity, poisoning our water. And it's going to cause problems not only for neighborhoods that are right there, but for the included new businesses you're talking about.
And we need more electricity. And that's another subject. Yeah.
So, sorry, 1 second. So say you do get a company to bite on this to establish a mud district to get electricity out to these places, and they start hiring people. What are the guardrails that you have in place to prevent them just hiring a bunch of H-1B visas and not provide any jobs for any of the people that actually live here?
Well, H-1B visas aren't controlled by Fort Bend County.
Well, exactly. So say you want to have a private company come out here and establish a mud district.
Well,
in order to get electricity
the
out.
mud district won't be established by the private company. It'll be established before they.
But you're going to use it to attract the company to come out.
Well, what the commissioner wants is, right now we're Fort Bend County is basically just where people live, and they travel into Houston for their jobs, right? Yeah. What he wants is more employment for local residents. So that's what this is for. This is trying to, so that your kids, your grandkids, don't go off to college and they want to come home, but they can't because there's no jobs here. A lot of people have to travel into Houston. We're a bedroom community essentially, and he's trying to establish some work centers, and this is one of the ways to do that. That's a side benefit. The main benefit is getting these companies to pay taxes and share the tax burden, because when you put in a lot of homes, there's a lot of demands that comes from that. You have to have schools, things like that. But when big companies come in, they have less. There's less that you have to do for them, and they're paying higher taxes because their property has such a high value. So it helps to. It's all about diversifying the tax base. Yeah.
That's a great topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, it got spicy. It got spicy there.
So, Commissioner, correct?
Yeah.
Commissioner. Our next two speakers. So we had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Garcia. Adolfo Garcia. So he was generous enough. He is a business owner to a place called, I don't have my glasses, Fresh
and Savory.
Okay. He is donating a $100 gift card to his restaurant. So I hope you have your tickets ready. Yes, everyone still has their ticket? And guys, if you are a business owner, if you are a candidate, if you are just someone who wants to leave literature or your business cards, please put them up here at this table. As we travel, we always put our stuff out and we encourage people to come up and just take a look. We have books and magazines. We've had activists. We've had, actually this book here, she was born in Brazil. She was a far leftist feminist. She ran into a lot of trouble, had gotten pregnant, was encouraged to get an abortion, was told she would never have children again. She married, she became a Christian, she gave her life to God, and 10 years later she had a son after being told that she could not conceive. So these are the types of materials that we keep up here along with campaign literature. So please, if you are a candidate, leave your stuff up here. We'll be sure to share it. That we're not on the list, if you could stand up, say your name, say the position that you're running for, your website, or where they can contact you. We'll do that right after Mr. Garcia.
First of all, thank y'all for the invite. See, I'm friendly with my customers here. I want to thank y'all for having me here, but most of all, I don't want to get into the political side, because, well, you get me started, I'll never stop. But Republican, yes. Like you said earlier, he's one of the best presidents that I believe that we ever had in the history of this world. And also, I am a strong believer, even though I'm at the restaurant running all the time, and I have customers that have been going there for many, many years. I am the second owner. We've been having it a little over 8.5 years. It's been there, October will be 44 years. It's been there a very long time. The employees have been there over 40 years. So I was, I don't like to preach or anything, but I always tell people, and it's absolutely true, please get off the couch and go vote. It's so important. It really, really is. And that's the only way that the Republican group will get together and be a lot stronger. It's called being together. I'm just a strong believer. If you want to do something, you have to do it right. The first time, not the second time. But thank you again. I don't want to hold you up. I know you have speakers. God bless every one of you and your families, and let's come on, Republicans, let's do it, okay?
What's your address, sir, on your restaurant?
I'm sorry. I'm right here on Murphy Road. I'm right next to the subway, believe it or not. We've been there, I moved there about 3.5 years ago. We used to be on the corner of West Airport and Murphy, but now we have to block up right next to the subway. My address is 12999 Murphy Road, and I don't have to say Suite D or 4 because it's right next door. But it's a lunch place. It opens up from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Bulk of my business is really catering. We have a big event coming up at the Stafford Center. It's on October 21st. I don't want to get into all that. It's close to finding. It's a whole town. We feed about 700 to 800 people every time. I can go up, my capacity can go up to about 3,000 people.
What's the name of your restaurant?
Fresh. Fresh is one of my customers. Fresh and safe.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia, very much. If you 1 or 2 minutes, if you are a candidate, if you're running in a race, or if you're here to represent someone who's running in a race, if you want to stand up and just say who you are, if you want to come up here, please feel free. 1 or 2 minutes. Anyone? Have a young lady here. And then do you have any business cards or any literature you want? Okay, you can bring them up and leave them up here with us.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Andy, Carmen, thank you so much for putting this event together. My name is Sandy Ibanez, and I'm running for state rep, District 28. So if you live in Fulshire, Beasley, Simonton, Richmond, Rosenberg, Sugarland, I'll be on your ballot. You can learn more about me at sandyfortexas.com. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who maybe wants to speak on behalf of the campaign? Okay, congratulations. You just became a precinct chair, sir, I've been told. Was it you? No? Yes?
A few months ago.
Thank you. It's all you now, Justin.
Hey y'all, it's me again. So we got a great group of guests today. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for the guest speakers. My next guest, some people think we're brothers. Our last names start with the same three letters. We're battle buddies. We're brothers in arms. We are both stationed at Fort Drum, New York together. Now, if you don't know about Fort Drum, New York, it's on the border of Canada. And it's about an hour north of Syracuse. It gets about negative 40 degrees. And yes, we go train in that. All right. So we call that trauma bonding. All right. So I'd like to welcome our next Precinct 4 Commissioner, Mr. Adam Schoof. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Schoof. I'm Fort Bend County Commissioner, Precinct 4. First and foremost, I am a Christian. Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. And yes, Justin and I were stationed at Fort Drum, New York at the same time. And I'm a little bit crazier than Justin. I did this thing called the polar bear dip at Fort Drum, where they cut a hole in the ice that you drive out to, cross the ice, and then you jump in it for a charity cause. And well, cold never felt the same after that. I don't do the cold anymore. I'll take this 90-degree heat.
Were you in your panties or what were you in?
No, skivvies. Skivvies. And there may or may not, it was an alcohol-related event, and I just turned 21 when we did this, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. But yeah, so I currently hold elected office on the Board of Trustees for the Fort Bend Independent School District. And well, I never really wanted to get into politics, but when I got out of the Army, well, first while I was in the Army, against my will, I got appointed as an alderman for a very small town. And I emphasize against my will. But when I got out of the Army, I moved to my first HOA neighborhood. I got out of the military, did the American Dream, bought a house, and well, against Dave Ramsey's will, I owned a boat before I bought a house. And the second that I backed my boat in the driveway, the angry lady from the HOA did not like that. And so she started hassling me over my boat, and I started learning about HOA politics. And well, I figured, you know, I probably won't win, but you know what? I'm going to grab a case of beer and go talk to all my neighbors who are out working on their car in their garage, offer them a beer, and turns out none of them like that lady either. They like to be on the HOA. But I got elected on the Fort Bend Independent School District Board in summer of 2024. They passed the 2023 bond project, which that pushed my property taxes up to $1,000 a month. Dang. And I think that's ridiculous. And on top of that, my daughter's coming home telling me about how there's a girl in her class who identifies as a cat. And her pronouns were meow. And well, my daughter's a chip off the old block. She had a little bit of fun with that and got in trouble for bringing a can of Fancy Feast to school when she brought snacks for the whole class. But so didn't like what was going on in the school system, didn't like how they were spending my money, didn't like how they were educating my kids. So I ran for office, won, and since I've been elected on the Board of Trustees, I've saved almost $50 million. It's 46.8 or something million dollars in bond spending and construction projects in the last 2 years. I've fought against every tax hike, tax increase, and we're about to unveil, you guys are hearing it first, we're about to unveil a tax decrease in the next 4 months. We'll see if the board passes it, but it makes sense. We're fighting for it. As the staunch conservative on the board, that's what I'm fighting for. Now I'm running for county commissioner. Now I'll tell you, I am 100% behind Commissioner Andy Myers in his movement to increase industrial development or create industrial development districts to bring industrial tax revenue into the county. All right, but I see things a little bit different. I'm looking at what are the problems facing Fort Bend County in infrastructure and roadways. Well, most of y'all don't know, just south of us in Freeport is a deep water seaport, and what was just deemed the most efficient deep water port in the world, which means there are ships coming from all over the world just south of us to move, and this shipping port is capable of offloading anywhere from 10 to 15,000 tractor trailers a day. And if you go to Freeport and you put a pin to San Antonio or Austin, anywhere westbound on I-10, guess where it takes you from Freeport? Right through Fort Bend County. And that means that there's potential to have 10,000 plus 80,000-pound tractor trailers driving across our roads every single day trying to go westbound on I-10. That's a massive strain on the infrastructure of Fort Bend County, and we're not getting any of the revenue for all this billions of dollars of commerce traveling through our county. So one of the things that I'd like to explore, and somebody was thinking about this in the 50s, and I found documents in the 50s where they wanted to dredge the Brazos River. And if you notice, every bridge that crosses the Brazos River from here to Freeport is set to commercial height. That means they can run barges through it if they properly dredge the river. It was explored by the Army Corps of Engineers in the 50s, and it wasn't done because there was nothing up here. That made no sense. So between increasing the rail system that used to go through Meadville that was closed in, I think the last train run through there was 1960 something. But we need other forms of commerce transferring through Fort Bend County other than putting that strain on our roadways that costs us millions and millions of dollars a year. And the way to accomplish that is to bring some industrial growth out to the west end of the county. Find alternative means for these containers to be traveling through our county, and possibly try to find a way to capitalize on these. I think it would be really neat if we could find a way to work with the Army Corps of Engineers, dredge the Brazos, and offload these trucks off of barges in our county to where we're not getting tax revenue for that, reducing the burden of the residential taxpayer. We are in the top 20 highest tax property owners in the United States, and we, like everybody else has said, we can't sustain off of bedroom tax base. We just can't. We're too big. Our roadways cost too much to maintain, and better yet, if we dredge the Brazos, we now have flood control, because that would mean moving the dam that's outside of Lake Jackson. The dam would be moved north of Fort Bend County, and guess what? We're now controlling the flood. Coincide that with the reservoir project that's the city of Houston is working with the Brazos River Authority out towards Wallace, Texas. Coincide all that, we saw flood problems. We created shipping industry and shipping revenue, and we just reduced the strain on our roadway infrastructure. But I've got all kinds of interesting ideas like that I'd like to explore. I want to fight against tax increases. I want to make sure that the residents of Fort Bend County have the best return on their investment. I want to make sure that our sheriff's office and Fort Constable precincts are funded to the point that criminals are afraid to enter Fort Bend County from Harris County to commit crimes here, just like they were when Congressman Troy Nels was the sheriff of Fort Bend. So let's go ahead and bring that back. Everybody needs to get out and vote. Early voting starts Monday. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to my website, adam4fortbend.com, spelled out, not the number 4, but adam4fortbend.com. There's all kinds of information on me. You can even find my phone number online. Feel free to call me. Feel free to chew me out. It doesn't really bother me. But vote Adam Show, Fort Bend County Commissioner. Thank you.
Adam, I'll be sure you're on the mailing list for 36A. It addresses the exact problems you talked about. Although the traffic isn't so much going through Fort Bend County from Port Freeport, it's going through Houston, which is even worse because they can't handle the traffic. 36A is a project that Commissioner Myers has been working on for a very long time. It's going to run up and it's going to connect eventually all the way to Dallas. Dallas is the largest inland port in the nation. So right now, a lot of the traffic is coming from LA Long Beach to Dallas. And LA Long Beach is a mess. What they can do now that the Panama Canal has dredged and can handle bigger ships is come through the Panama Canal and come into Port Freeport. Then Commissioner Myers' proposal, and TxDOT is looking at this, will take 36A and it'll run from Port Freeport, connecting all the way up to Dallas. That'll get us off, get these trucks off of downtown Houston, off of Fort Bend roads. The other thing that's beautiful about it is they're going to put businesses along 36A, tax revenue, my friends. That's more industrial development. People are going to come to Fort Bend County, companies are going to come to Fort Bend. They're going to invest, they're going to put operations there. That'll solve the problem, and it'll diversify the tax.
Not to mention, Mr. Spellman, how important are TxDOT relationships in building 36A? How important?
They're great.
They're crucial. They're crucial.
You know who was in the office, in Andy's office last week? The guy who's from TxDOT, Elvis.
Oh, Mr. Elvis. Yes.
Was in our office meeting with Commissioner Myers and Commissioner Morales. everybody is there, and that's what they're talking about, is how to get really
And
successful.
that's what we need in the commissioners for. Commissioners like Commissioner Myers, who has the relationships in Austin to get these kinds of projects done, the relationships with TxDOT to get these projects done, and also the relationships with the Army Corps of Engineers. Guess who dredges everything? The Army Corps of Engineers. So those types of relationships, which I think Commissioner Myers is going to be successful with creating industrial development districts. I think having another squeaky wheel on the court, being able to go to Austin as well and speak and start getting just a MUD takes 114 votes in the House to establish. It's going to be the same thing for an industrial development district. Another squeaky wheel from Fort Bend County is going to get that done. Not to mention, I've been flying airplanes since I was 11 years old. I can be in Austin and back in 2 hours after a meeting. So let's go ahead and get it done. Adam Schiro from Fort Bend County Commission. Thank you.
Love him or concerned that he's in the same room with you. My good friend, the voice of Fort Bend County, Harris County, Montgomery County, Waller County, Greater Houston, Mr. Chris Heasley.
Thank you, man. So I appreciate your time. I'm going to take us through a very difficult conversation on something that Greg Barnes mentioned. He mentioned the safety of our children. And the talk I'm going to do right now, I have gained these opinions from 2 interviews I did of survivors of human trafficking, okay? And for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to ask you to put yourself at the center of this story. We're going to have you do a role play. And in this scenario, you are with your 7-year-old granddaughter at a convenience store gas station on 59 South. And what happens is your granddaughter reaches for the candy shelf, you look away, you look back, she's gone. She's gone. You don't know where she went. You're panic-stricken. You search the entire premise, the stock rooms, the bathrooms, the convenience store, the restaurant, the parking lot. She's gone. You're never going to see her again. She's been wrapped up, put in the back of a van, heading down 59 South to the Mexican border, being violated immediately. You're never going to see her again. Your life is over. Her life is over. Her scenario is a horrific outcome. It happens. But your life is over because you're never going to be able to live with yourself again. And now you have to go back and tell your son-in-law and your daughter that you lost their child. Human trafficking is the existential threat to our lives. It is number one. It is staring us in the face. And we are told regularly by our county authorities that they are rectifying the issue, that they are the bold heroes that are taking care of it. But are they? 50 years ago, your government did a formal declaration on the war on drugs. And we gave them everything they asked for. We gave them ever-increasing budgets, ever-increasing manpower, military-grade armaments, the most sophisticated surveillance technologies, and we rearranged our legal code for them to prosecute the war on drugs. And 50 years later, the drug business is a boom business. If anyone here wants drugs, it's fairly easy to get. The drug runners are enjoying healthy profits, and they're far from the long arm of law. They have lives that are just fine. In my lifetime, I've lost more than 5 friends and family members to drug violence and drugs. Most likely, the people in this audience have had a similar experience. Can you imagine that in 5 or 10 years, we can say the same thing about human trafficking, an even worse outcome, that in 5 or 10 years we've lost a loved one to human trafficking? The method by which your county authorities are telling you that they're rectifying this issue is from something that they saw on TV. They're replicating a TV show from the 1990s that ran during the sitcom Hours. That's their answer, the comprehensive answer to human trafficking, to do something they saw on TV. And what they do is they pose, the police officers pose as prostitutes, and they bait and lure men into hotel rooms, and then when the men arrive, they arrest the men. And what they do then is they parade these men around town, their pictures around town, and they tell you that these men are the El Chapo of human trafficking. They tell you that these men are the captains of the cartels, and it's nonsense. These men are nothing of the sort. These men are men that were looking to hire a prostitute for sex. They're Johns. They're not cartel leaders, they're not traffickers, they're Johns. And what the police are doing is they're elevating the crime to something that is not. Now I want to make a point. What these men do is wrong. They should be arrested, they should be prosecuted. But we should not elevate the level of their crime to human trafficking. What we should do is we should create a scale of crimes that based on the threat of what they are to society. And at the top is human trafficking, because that's the threat to our children. And somewhere near the bottom or in the middle is prostitution. They're not the same things. We should not allow police to pass off a lower crime as a higher one. It is a misrepresentation, and it gives us a false sense of security. It means that we allow our children to walk safe on the streets because our officers are telling us that they're the bold heroes saving the day, and they're not taking out the traffickers. They're actually protecting the traffickers, and I'm going to explain why. So what they do is they give this false sense of security, and our children are still vulnerable. What they are doing is they are doing honeypots. It's not a trafficking sting, it's a honeypot. And there's a big difference. And the point is that what the officers are doing is they are constructing a crime where there was none, right? They are creating a problem to put the problem out. It makes no sense. You don't create a problem to put a problem out. It's a dog chasing its own tail. It's the fireman setting the fire to put the fire out so that he can promote his own career. That's what they're doing. The purpose of policing is to police our neighborhoods for crimes that arise organically in the neighborhoods. We shouldn't have them distracted with these falsehoods. They should be watching our streets for the real crimes and prosecute those crimes. Apologies, I need to look at my notes here for a second, guys. So there should be no... So, in any industry, in the drug industry, there are suppliers and there are customers. Customers cannot exist if suppliers are gone. Suppliers come first. And what you see with our police is they always go after customers because they're protecting the suppliers. They're protecting the distributors. This comes first. If you take this part out, this part goes away. But they don't do that. These guys are safe to the police. They don't have the hierarchy. They don't have the paid-off politicians. They are just everyday Joes. But the police go after the end users, and it gives you, and then they're able to say that they're curing the problem when they are not. So, I'm going to get to the point now. Okay, so, they do these honeypots to keep you distracted so that you think they're curing the problem when the problem still exists. In trafficking, there are two types of traffickers. There are lone wolves, and there's enterprise-wide traffickers. And the lone wolves need to hang by a noose, but they are not the greatest threat to our society. It is the enterprise-wide ones, because these are the sophisticated dudes. These are guys who have no moral compass. These are guys who understand the mechanics of building an organization and scaling the enterprise and enjoying the profits. And these are the guys that can put the equivalent of a delegate, I don't know what the, I'm losing my train of thought here, but put someone in the police officers, a lobbyist. They can put a lobbyist in the police department and tell the police to continue the honeypots, because they're safe as long as that honeypot charade continues to go. Congressional candidate just beat Dan Crenshaw.
Steve Toth.
Steve Toth. He was on the Tucker Carlson show, and he mentioned that there's a dark element that happens in the evening hours in Austin. Okay? And I'm going to give you an idea of what he's talking about right now. And I'm going to explain why I'm walking you through this briar patch of a difficult conversation, because it matters. Because we can't let these falsehoods continue if we're going to save our children. Okay. So, I had a woman named Laura Pena on my show. This woman is a hero of epic proportions, and she is a major problem to the establishment. She's running for Congress now. And what happened to Lauren Pena? Lauren Pena she found herself caught between two rival cartels where they were fighting over her for basically human chattel, right? She was going to be their product for trafficking. One cartel won the prize, and they trafficked Lauren Pena for weeks. And they did it out of a nightclub in Austin. And at this nightclub in Austin, it's owned by the cartels. And it's frequented by your state representatives and your state senators. And it's also frequented by police officers. And so this establishment is, Lauren Pena was trafficked out of it, it's running drugs out of it, and it has all of your, no, I don't want to say all, it has your elected officials, at least some contingent of them, at this establishment. That's why the charade continues to go on. I am only giving you a fingernail scraping of what I believe to be the truth about trafficking. But what I hope from this conversation is that I cause you to question the news when you hear it and start to ask a deeper question. Because we have to go back to the time when we could play football in the evening out past dark. When we could walk the railroad tracks, I walked the railroad tracks when I was a kid, until midnight. And it's not, you can't do that today. And until we face these tough questions, we will not be able to take care of these issues. My name is Chris Heasley, and I'm with the Chris Heasley Radio Show. And on my show, I cover all things local, all things Texas. I do not go national. And I attempt to cover the things that no one else is talking about. To give you an idea, if you want to know the more than 3 ways a county can accrue debt without voter approval, watch my show. If you want to know about the equivalent of a Three Gorges Dam that's being proposed in North Texas, which is a very tragic, it's a very scary situation, watch my show. If you want to know, your county pushed drugs like no other county in the state of Texas. This county was the biggest pusher of the COVID vaccines from the Wuhan flu than any other county. If you want to know how many Texans died from vaccines and vaccine injuries, watch my show. And on that note, we are subscribers and believers of what I call the Great Awakening in medical technologies, what RFK Jr. is largely bringing us. And we are promoters of the X39 patch, which is the most amazing medical technology that exists today. If you want to know more about that, please visit my show. I appreciate your time.
Gentlemen, we are about to wrap up, but there was an acknowledgement, a certificate that we wanted to hand out. We had a huge Cinco de Mayo celebration at the El Tiempo on Navigation on May 2nd. We had mariachis. We had a singer from a Tejano band that was in the Hall of Fame. My mother is going to be singing with them at their next meeting.
What?
So, I mean, we are.
We have Pancho Claus too.
We have Pancho Claus, he is like the Santa Claus in the Hispanic tradition. He actually also received an award, but Mr. Matt Velasquez, if you want to make your way up here, because we do have something for you as well. Andy, do you want to do the honors? You want me to do the honors?
I'm filming.
You need to get in front of the
I'm
camera
working.
too.
I'm working over here.
Andy's like camera shy for some reason.
I'll come up there with you.
Here he comes.
You do it.
So we wanted to honor people who are just not politicians, right? We want to honor people that make a difference in our community. We wanted to honor people who go out there and just are ordinary, everyday human beings that connect with people. And this gentleman here has done so much. His family has a legacy here in Harris County and Portland County in Texas. So With that said, we wanted to honor Mr. Matt Velasquez for all his accomplishments for the radio station that he has now taken over. If you want to talk a little bit about that, Matt, because I know I could go on and on, but you have done so much, and we really appreciate you here at the Saturday Menudo Club.
Sure. No, thank you. Yeah. So just to give you all the quick cliff notes on our radio station. My family has owned KYST 920 AM since 1983. So my father, Cruz, he purchased the radio station in '83 to start the first Tejano radio station in Houston. So my father actually worked in oil and gas for Tenneco, but he always had side hustles. He was an entrepreneur at heart. He owned one of the biggest Tejano nightclubs in Houston called the Stardust Ballroom. And so my father owned that starting in the 60s, but there wasn't any Spanish radio really that you could advertise on. So my dad decided, well, I'm going to go buy a radio station, start the first Tejano radio station in Houston. And that's how he would advertise the bands and the nightclub that was coming through town. Fast forward 40 years later, we were different Spanish formats for the longest time. I started working at the radio station in 2004. By that time we were a talk format but still in Spanish. The funny part is I barely speak any Spanish myself, so here I was working for a Spanish radio station, barely speaking it, but I got to work side by side with my best friend, with my dad. So we got along, loved getting to work with him every day. Unfortunately, in 2020, my mother had terminal cancer. My father stayed at home with her. She passed away that fall. In 2022, my father passed away, I say, from a broken heart. So after that, I was left with a tough decision on what I wanted to do with the company. And honestly, I just thought about selling it because I didn't want to run the radio station without my father around. Again, I didn't want to run a Spanish radio station where I barely spoke Spanish myself. But after I was talking with my wife, we're actually going on a road trip up to Tennessee. And I told her, I'm just frustrated that the mainstream media post-COVID continues to attack our Christian faith, continues to attack our patriotism. It was during that time where if you put an American flag up, automatically you were a racist. And I looked at my skin, I was like, well, I don't think I'm racist, but I guess I am. So I told my wife, I said, what if we took our radio station, flipped it back to an English format, and just started a very strong Christian conservative format? She was supposed to say no, because it was going to take all of our life savings to do this. I wasn't taking investors. Even though we own the frequency, we own the radio towers, the land, everything, we own it. But to make this move, it was going to take a huge investment. So we wiped out our whole life savings. Little did I know, our Roth IRA was going to go away at the same time. So we dumped everything into this radio station on January 1st, 2024. We switched from Spanish over to English. I confused a lot of Latinos in Houston that January 1st, but that midnight I actually sat in our bedroom and kind of had a moment to myself, because the very last thing I did before I closed our Spanish run is I played my dad's favorite Tejano radio song, closed it out, and then at midnight you heard the first station ID for Patriot Talk 920 AM. So we launched January 1st, 2024, about 2.5 years into this run. To this day, I've still not made a dime for myself off this company. My wife is a high school teacher. We support our triplet kids in Catholic school off a high school teacher salary right now. But as my wife would say, I've never been happier before doing what I'm doing, and I feel like this is God's calling to proclaim my Christian faith for our radio station, my patriotism for our country. So it's just been a pleasure, and I met Carmen before I launched it, and she's been in my corner ever since, and Andy's been right there with her. So I'm very thankful to Saturday Menudo Club for everything y'all have done as well. So
and it says here, Saturday Menudo Club Community Hero Award. So all of the past recipients that received one are heroes like Matt. He's been with us since day one. I mean, when we started, you and I do it more aggressively for the Saturday Menudo Club. But I pray one day when we're your largest advertiser.
Yes, sir.
That would be good. I mean,
awesome.
More money than
Round of applause, y'all. Thank you very much. Do you want to let us know when the next meeting will be in this area?
Same location, June 11th. So if you're available June 11th, come eat some Mexican food with us, come enjoy some good company. Bring your thoughts, bring your prayers. We'll be here. Thanks, y'all.
Don't forget, guys, leave your stuff up here if you want it to be advertised. My business.